This is an illegal dig site at a secret location in Egypt. The tomb raiders are searching for treasure they can sell on the Egyptian black market. I'm going to show and tell you things in this episode you won't find anywhere else. I've spent more than 80 days traveling in Egypt. Forbidden pyramids and illegal dig sites in the Western Desert, hidden spaces in the Great Pyramid's portcullis chamber, endless scams and strange encounters, things the Egyptian government doesn't want you to see. I promise you, Egypt is the most mysterious country on earth, and in this video, I will be showing and explaining a fascinating piece of that puzzle. So first of all, it started off just like any other interaction here in Egypt, where an Arab man approaches you and asks if you want to come to tea with him. And of course, I usually say no. At this point, I've been to enough tea times. But there was just something about this man that was a little bit creepy and interesting. I know how that sounds like, why would you go into a creepy man's home? But there was just something a little bit exciting about it. I can't explain it. And that's where the homosexual aspect of this story is going to come in just a second, because of course this man is closeted. So this guy invites me to tea with him, and I basically said yes and came inside his family's home, which his family has like his uncle and a bunch of other diggers from the dig site. These are men who dig legally for the government and for the archaeological teams for, I think. And so I sat down and met his brothers and his uncle, and then all of a sudden I noticed that they were digging, and I sort of thought, oh well, they're probably installing some pipe or something. Then he told me, yeah, we're digging for Hatshepsut, which is another way of saying we're digging for treasure. Now, at that point, I realized that I was going to want to get footage, and that I would probably only have one good shot to get good footage of the hole, because as soon as they realized, they would probably try to shut me down and stop me. So what I did was I immediately pulled out my phone, turned on the camera, passed the camera to one of the diggers. Now, he was holding the camera and I got in the hole. And so for about 5 seconds, he filmed me unwittingly before he was told to stop. Now, given that it's like a 3 to 12 year prison sentence, it's a super long prison sentence. It's a super dangerous thing to be filming anybody, because they're not going to react well to that. I just kind of realized, well, if I just give him my phone, the chances of them like trying to delete the footage after the fact is actually pretty low. But again, I just sort of made my peace with that. The next thing that happened is I sort of inspected a lot of the things in the hole, and obviously found a lot of really nice pot shards and, lots of like bricks and other things, things that didn't seem very historical to me, but I don't have an expert eye enough to determine age. So examining them was not really a serious business. But where is here? Well, I have to be vague, because if these men were identified by the authorities, they could go to prison for years. But I'll just say this. They are digging in a place that has an extremely high likelihood of finding a high-value burial. That's because they are digging in extremely close proximity to one of the birthplaces of Egyptian mythology, a place where the ancient Egyptians believed that the universe began. If you like learning about Egypt, you probably know that ancient Egyptians wanted to be buried close to places and people who hold any kind of mythological power. For instance, in the Old Kingdom, everyone wanted to be buried as close as possible to the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Now you got about 2 to 3 diggers in the hole, and one man who is like holds the basket. And you have 2 or 3 men standing guard at any time. So you have one man on the top tower. This is like the 4th floor of this apartment complex. He keeps watch. So if somebody's coming, you can shut down the dig. And then you'll have another man who's sort of like the chief, the guy in charge. And then there's the other guy who's like an army guy, and that's the guy who invited me into the home for tea. And he's like, he's kind of intimidating. So the army guy, who we'll just call Muhammad, just for the sake of ease, Muhammad is the one who invited me into the home for tea. And Muhammad is the one who is obviously, or in the closet, gay. So then me and Muhammad sit down for tea, and it's a lovely time, and we're watching the diggers dig, and it's all very interesting. And then Muhammad invites me to go see their watchtower, where the 3rd guard keeps watch from up on high. And so we climb up to like the 4th story of this apartment complex, and he like accidentally touches me a little bit on the butt as we're walking up the stairs. And then, he's showing me the dig site, from the 4th floor. He's showing me the road, and as if these are like things that I need to see. it's just so weird. And then we go into this little back room, and he's like, come on inside here, something to see. And it's just like that scene from Alien Covenant where the guy's like, where Michael Fassbender is like, something to see.
Something to see.
And then I fucking went inside, and as I entered, his like hand like kind of like slipped up my butt crack a little bit, just like he like he just fucking like presses his hand against my butt, and I just shrugged it off as if it was an accident, and then he kept saying, you know, you want to see something else? And I kept saying, no, I think I've seen enough. And he's like, no, you want to see more? And I kept saying, no, not really. I think I've seen enough. This is good enough.
Okay, I have to do a little disclaimer here. This event was pretty over the top. I'm a little insensitive talking about this specific gay man because honestly, the whole thing was so inappropriate, unexpected, unwanted. He's not a bad person because he's gay or anything like that, etc. It must be hard to be a gay man in a society that hates gay people. Maybe he thought this was his only chance to get a piece of ass. Because, you know, tourists, they come and go. And I have been informed that I have a nice ass. Also, it might not be clear from the story, but it's not humanly possible that the other diggers knew this man was gay. Otherwise, he would have been run out of town. Many Egyptians, when talking about homosexuality, will say that there are no gay Arabs, or something like that. This is obviously false. People in the Middle East are just better at staying in the closet. Okay, back to the story.
So then we walked back downstairs, and I'm like, thank God that, you know, that could have gone a lot worse. And then he went to going in the complete opposite direction. Absolute authoritarian Islamic extremist, kill the Jews, kill the Americans. Like, he went in that, it's like a switch, like, got flipped. And anyway, we started talking about his army service and how he hopes that there's a big war that will wipe out all the heretics and all the Jews and all the Americans. And he talked about how he's going to go to paradise when he dies, but I'm not going to go to paradise when I die. And, you know, that whole type of conversation, which, you know, obviously very interesting. Thank you so much. But, like, what the fuck? That is, for the record, the first conversation I have had in 33 days of being in Egypt, where I've had a conversation with an Islamist extremist, a man who wants, to kill everybody and blah, 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 blah. And I've had a lot of conversations with deeply devout Muslim men. So just want to put the whole thing in perspective. I don't want to give off the impression that this is like happening to me every day.
For the record, I support Israel, though I wouldn't ever voice this opinion in the wrong context. I have an entire episode on the anti-Semitic Hitlerian origins of the pro-Palestinian movement, which you can find on my channel.
I feel obligated to report the dig site, but I don't want to get myself in trouble. Even if you reported it, this country is so corrupt that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you report it, because the police are so corrupt and the military is so corrupt that probably these guys could just get away with it. I don't want to stir up trouble, and they know my face. So as we were having tea, he explained to me just a little tidbit about when they find things, because of course they do find artifacts here, and they need to transport things out of the country. How do they actually do that? And what I had heard is that there are like these diplomatic containers, these like, there's ways using diplomatic channels to transport illegal goods out of the country. But he said to me that you would just have some woman, and like in her purse, you would just put like one item, and you'd put her on a flight to wherever. And that's how you would get the item out of the country. It sounds like you're going to disguise it as if it's like a replica item, like a fake item that you purchased in a replica house. Basically, the men that do the legal digging in Egypt, the ones that you see, off the side of the road, and there's like, it's totally organized, and you see archaeologists overseeing the project. Those are the same men who are doing the illegal digging in their backyards. I didn't know that before I came here. That's something that is kind of shocking. I think I will continue to accept these requests, but it really, really, really can go very south if you're not careful. And luckily, I kind of look like an idiot And it helps having lots of sunscreen on your nose, which when I was at their house, I had tons of sunscreen on my nose. Once again, makes you look very stupid. So these are the tactics you need to employ. I feel so humbled to see history being wiped away like this. It's so horribly wrong, and yet I feel that I can't do anything about it. Maybe that was enough for one day. I think I need a nap after that one.
As always on this channel, I promise to demystify Egypt and show you things you have never seen before. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Drop a like and comment as you see fit if you have any criticism or any idea for where Papyrus Pundit should go next. Now that you've seen this small dig site, you may want to check out my micro-documentary on my visit to a site of mass looting in the Western Desert. Hundreds of square miles that have been ransacked by looters, which you can check out here. Thanks for watching.